An Auckland mother whose Ghanaian partner has been waiting nearly a year for a visa to meet their baby is appalled a nanny for an America's Cup team has been granted a visa ahead of her child's father. The government announced last week that it would allow more people into the country, but many of those people have been linked to the film industry or America's Cup. That's adding to the frustrations of families who are separated by the border closures. Our cameraman Nick Monroe and reporter Nita Blake-Person filed this report.
The wild beaches of Auckland's west coast are where Ruth McDowall goes to unwind these days.
We spend a lot of time down here, family time. It's a really beautiful spot, but there's always that bittersweet of wishing that we can be a family together down here.
A photojournalist in West Africa for the past 10 years, she returned from Ghana last July for the birth of her first child, Emanuela.
It was really exciting when we found out we'll be having a baby, and each month we'd go to the clinic together in Accra and see the scan and watch her grow. And then we decided it's best for me to come back to New Zealand to give birth, and I had to say goodbye to Teddy.
How hard was that?
It was really hard.
But it's been far from the homecoming she pictured, with Teddy, Emanuela's dad and Ruth's partner of 5 years, repeatedly denied a visa to join her.
They think he's not bona fide. They think he's potentially using me for a visa. I lived in northern Nigeria for 6 years and amongst Boko Haram insurgency. I'm a very tough person. I covered all of those attacks and everything. And what we're going through right now, the stress level is up there and beyond. Hooah.
Teddy's a furniture designer in Ghana. At first they applied for a partnership work visa, but that was denied. They've since applied for a partnership visitor visa, and that process has now been drawn out for close to 10 months. Teddy's missed lots of milestones. Today is another one. Birthdays can only be celebrated over the phone.
Happy birthday, Daddy. We miss you.
Daddy loves you. Mwah. Mwah.
Teddy tries to focus on the positive, but says it's hard.
Watching your baby being born and growing without you, she doesn't even have the real connection, just a phone and you and the daughter talking. So even if I meet her in person, it's going to be strange, and I know. So it's really hard.
And Ruth says their situation is heartbreaking.
Why is my daughter coming up to 9 months old and she's never met her father when we've been in a loving and committed relationship for nearly 6 years?
The border closures have made things even worse. They've applied for exemptions under humanitarian grounds, but that's not working either.
Unfortunately, we are unable to make an exception in your case. There is no right of appeal regarding this decision. Please do not reply to this email.
Seeing high-paying movie executives and a nanny for an America's Cup team get the green light to come to New Zealand has been salt in the wound.
Then when you see on the TV that makes you feel like you're not valuable. And I think a core value of New Zealand as a country and something that makes us great is families. Of course, the economy is important, but that can't be the be-all and end-all.
Ruth says she can't prove Teddy's visa declines and delays are due to his race, but she strongly suspects it plays a part.
Well, Teddy is black and he's an African, so it's always going to be difficult for him because of where he was born. Because people can't help where they were born. You're born where you were born. You can't help what colour your skin is. If you were born white, if you were born black. And so I think our family matters, his life matters, black fathers matter, and we should be allowed to be a family together and also here in New Zealand during this worldwide upheaval of a pandemic.
The government announced last week that partners of New Zealand citizens and residents with relationship-based visas, or those who are ordinarily residents in New Zealand, no longer have to travel together to get a border exception. But those visas already have to have been granted. And a Facebook group with people facing similar struggles and Ruth and Teddy has hundreds of members.
There's over 600 members and we're all separated from our families, and I think maybe you could count on your hand how many people have been given an exemption.
More than 16,500 border exemption requests have been made to Immigration New Zealand. Of those, just 2,600 have been approved. In a statement, Immigration New Zealand says the application process for Teddy's visa was paused while its offices were closed over lockdown, as it was limited to processing applications relating to the COVID response. Processing has now resumed, but it says applications for people in New Zealand are prioritised over those where the applicant is offshore. Ruth says the government's claims that families can now be reunited under the border exemptions are not the reality, and it flies in the face of calls for kindness.
You can say in words, be kind, but kindness is an action. So it's good to be kind in action, and that in our situation is a father, a mother and a baby together on the couch here, safe.